Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the big show. I'm Al Walsh, joined by Jeff Spoor, the money man of the hockey scene going on right now in the NHL DFS. You might have watched this a little bit earlier and saw technical difficulties. Well, we're back. We figured it out.
I apologize about that.
Yeah, so,
My first time using technology. I don't technology very often.
All good, all good. So, like we were saying in the earlier episode, me and Jeff, we played at Montclair State together. One goal for this guy, plenty of goals over there on the other side with the TVs on in the background. So no need to talk about that and all the Everclear and fruit punch we drank together and cards and all that kind of crap and dance parties. We'll get right into the NHL. That is what the people came for. So, I believe when we left off the last time, we were kind of talking about how hockey is such a random game and, what is it, in your preparation that makes it easier for you to understand, who's going to be the best that night?
When people talk to me about this, and they ask me about the success I've had with it, I really tell them you just got to simplify it. You can't think too much about it, and you can't be spreading yourself out all over the place. You got to find a few targets, a couple good matchups, and really just kind of, build a lineup around a guy that you think is going to have a good night. It's simple, Hockey, even though it might be the most random scoring system, it has the most simple statistics: goals, assists, points, shots on goal, saves, and wins. That's really all there is to it. You add plus minus in there, which I think is a great stat to have on FanDuel, and it makes it kind of easy to build a good squad, a good lineup out of players that you think are going to be a good even strength team, and players that you think are going to have a good power play night. And then you put it together, and then you watch your team play, and you just really go for it.
Now, talk about some of the teams last year to target. So, like in the NBA, a lot of people like to just throw down on the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're terrible on defense. Like, who was the team last year to beat up on? And then this year, who do you think is that team that everybody should be beating up on night in, night out?
I've got a couple of teams that I think are going to get beat up this year, and one of them is going to surprise you. I think
you say the Tampa Bay Lightning, I'm going to fight you. And we got that W.
I think Tampa Bay is close to the class of the East. They're very good.
Oh, yeah.
Team. We'll talk about them a little bit later, but if I had to give you three teams that I think are just going to get stomped and beat up on this year, I would have to say the Edmonton Oilers. They're going to take their licks this year. They got a good young team, but they're not going to win many games, and you might be able to pull some stats out of their first line, but I think you should target them if they got a matchup against them. Another one is the Carolina Hurricanes. They're not strong at all. And for the last couple of years, they really haven't been. And I see a lot of uninspired play by Eric Staal. I heard they're trying to move him, and he was really the only piece of that puzzle that was holding that thing together. So when you take away that leadership and that quality of player, then it's just a mess down there, I think. And the number 3 team, and this is going to surprise some people, that I'm going to look to target against as often as I can this year is the Boston Bruins. I do not think they look good this year. They got stomped on opening night 6-2.
Yeah, they did.
I don't like what's happening there. I don't like that. I just don't think there's any chemistry in that room, in that locker room, and I think I'm going to target against them quite a few times this year.
Well, yeah, you take a guy like Lucic out of there. Now he's on the other coast, and and that happens a lot too with football. You see, like if a big guy from a defense leaves, they just seem all lost and all that kind of stuff. So, good point there. Boston Bruins. That is one we were definitely not. I thought you were going to say Pittsburgh, but that's all right.
Pittsburgh's got a decent offensive squad this year.
Right.
You might see some high-scoring games. They didn't look very good in their first game either, but I like the addition of Kessel, and I like the chemistry he built with Crosby, at least in the preseason, even though they did get blanked on the first game this year.
Yeah, they did. Go ahead, Dallas. Go ahead, kid. Sweetest jerseys in the league, too.
That's a team to watch this year. Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn, they're going to go off this year.
And Hemsky last night had a hell of a goal. My goodness.
Oh, yeah, he did, definitely. He's a good player as well.
Right through the wickets, top shelf on them guys. Very nice. And we got to talk about it, too. I mean, our teams battled last night 3-on-3. How did you like that action?
Oh, well, of course I love that. And that was my hometown, Philadelphia Flyers versus your squad, the Tampa Bay Lightning. So you guys came out on top. I don't know how a team misses 2 penalty shots in the same game.
Ben Bishop, that's how.
This is the Philadelphia Flyers with probably the worst shootout record ever in the entire NHL history, so it doesn't surprise me too much to see Bishop getting that pad over and stopping us twice.
Hey, you got to the playoffs on a shootout one year. You can't win.
That was probably the one shootout game we've won in 5 years.
Devils are pretty bad at shootouts, too. Now, I want to talk a little about goalies, too, because this is actually, much like baseball, you need a good pitcher to just bring you over the top with that. So I guess do you target a certain type of goalie? And I guess who are they this year that you are targeting?
I definitely target a certain type of goalie, and that's where the matchups come into play the most. I am big on matchups, but I think with goalies, it's even more important. I want to get the guys that are playing the Edmonton Oilers. I want to get guys that are playing the Carolina Hurricanes. For Saturday's games, we've got a full slate of games, 14 games, and the one guy I really like is Pekka Rinne. He's going against Edmonton, and I think that's going to be a great game. Nashville is a very strong team. They've got 4 solid defensemen, but you know what? What's funny about this team is they still give up some shots. It's mostly perimeter shots. It's not high quality scoring chances, but Pekka Rinne makes those saves and you get points per save. Then you also get points for the win. And this is, you look like a game against Edmonton, as in we're going to talk about Saturday's game against Edmonton. They scored 1 goal in their first game, and it wasn't even off the stick of one of their own players. It was an own goal from St. Louis. I think Pietrangelo was trying to clear it out of the zone. It ends up in the back of his net. So this is a team that's, not going to score many goals. And I'm on shutout watch on Pekka Rinne on the first Saturday already. That's a guy I'm going to be targeting a lot of lineups around.
I was looking, me, I'm always looking at the Vegas boards. They are the highest favorite on the board so far. All the odds haven't come out. We got a couple of games going here tonight, so definitely got to wait up for that. All right, so we know we have limited time here today, so we got to be quick with everything.
Okay.
Who's the top stack that we're going with tomorrow? Is it in Nashville or is it somewhere else?
Yeah, the top stack that I'm going to go with on Saturday, and it's an expensive one. You're going to have to pay up a little bit, but I think it's going to be worth it. You've got Washington playing their first game against the New Jersey Devils, who are playing tonight. So they're on back-to-back, and they're not a very good team to begin with. So I'm going to be looking at Alex Ovechkin. I'm going to be looking at TJ Oshie, and I'm going to be looking at John Carlson. These are 3 guys who play together. John Carlson's the defenseman. Oshie and Ovechkin play on the same line, and they also, all 3 of them play on the same power play unit, which is just deadly when you have Ovechkin ripping off that left side, letting that one-timer go. I'm going to be looking for big things from these 3 guys if we're going to talk about a Saturday stack.
All right, now, one of the other things I was reading today, too, New Jersey definitely has one of the more inexperienced defensive units in the league. So, especially being on the back end of the back-to-back, we could definitely see some debacle-ness. So, yeah, I like to create words every now and again. I don't know if you watch the other shows, but I'll throw a word in there every now and again.
I like it.
And mostly, on this slate, I will get into the hockey, fix here in a couple weeks possibly. But listen, I've been really busy with baseball and football and all that kind of stuff, and college football too. That takes a lot of time off the brother's hands. So maybe in the new year, I'll get in with some analysis myself. I'll just tee it up for you for now.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right. All right. So any other stacks that we're looking at?
I've got a couple of them, and that I wanted to highlight out here. It's tough because this one's going to be the most expensive one on the board, and you really can't make it work. So maybe taking 2 or 3 for this lineup, but you got to love Pittsburgh against Phoenix on Saturday. That's you got Crosby, like I said, with that new chemistry with Kessel. That's going to be a good one, I think. And you also have Letang on defense, which I don't like paying up for a defenseman like that, especially if you're going to stack him with Crosby and Kessel. But I just think this matchup's way too good to pass up. And a surprising one for you, even though they're playing one of the best teams in the league, I've got to go with San Jose stack with Pavelski, Thornton, and Brent Burns. That power play is unbelievable. The opening night game, I'm watching these guys work the puck. They work it so quick. You have one of the premier shooters in the league with Pavelski. You've got the best setup man in the league with Joe Thornton still 15 years later. I can't believe it's 2015 and we're talking about Joe Thornton still. And you've got the best puck rushing defenseman in the world in Brent Burns. He's pretty much like a 4th forward out there. And it's just a deadly combination. They're playing the Anaheim Ducks. I can see people laying off them. But if I see them putting up big numbers, they'll probably be low owned since they're playing such a tough matchup. And if that power play gets going, you're going to see your names shooting right up that leaderboard.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, the other day I got some Spo-Weezy advice myself, and I cashed in there. So definitely, I can at least tell you that the truth is real, All right, so if we're looking at other positions, goalie is definitely the big one, as you mentioned earlier. Who are some of the better goalies on the slate?
Yeah, this is a tough one, and this is what you've got to check. You got to check your roto-grinders, and you got to check. I like to use NHL Daily to make sure you're getting a starting goalie. There's going to be a lot of teams playing tomorrow on back-to-backs, so there's going to be a good opportunity to pick up backup goaltenders. One of the ones that I like is Peter Mrazek in Detroit. He's a backup goalie. They've got Jimmy Howard going tonight, but they're playing against Carolina. It's a back-to-back. I usually try and stay away from teams on a back-to-back, but they're playing such a weak team, and it's still early in the season, so I don't think it's going to run down the team too much. So you can get some good value getting some backups in tomorrow. Peter Mrazek is definitely one of them. Pekka Rinne, like I said, he's a great fit down there. And if you're just looking for an overall low-scoring game, I think you're going to look to Philly and Florida. You're going to go with Steve Mason or Roberto Luongo. And it's 50-50 who's going to win that game. I'm not going to go out here on a prediction and say who it's going to be. Obviously, I want it to be Philadelphia, but I think that's going to be a 2-1, 3-2 game, and you're going to get value out of both those guys. So I would look for goalies that way. I don't like paying up for goalies just yet. I don't see a matchup that's really, other than the Pekka Rinne against Edmonton, I don't see a matchup that's really screaming at me to take somebody. I know Montreal's got a decent matchup against Boston, but that's a division game. They always play them tough. So if you're going to pay up, I'd go Carey Price. But that division game is one I would try and stay away from, unless you're going to take the scorers in that game, Pacioretty and Brendan Gallagher. That's definitely a good stack to have against that Boston team.
Yeah, we got a lot of totals like laying it right at 5 even on this slate. So, again, that's what I like to look at.
Right.
So, I mean, in that scenario where it looks like it's going to be a low-scoring night in the NHL, we going higher on goal, or are we going more of a value?
I still like going value, because if you see across the board that it's going to be a low-scoring night, why not get your money in on some cheap goalie that's going to get you the same value as a guy you pay up for, and then you can really try and pay up for some of those forwards I'm talking about, like Ovechkin and Oshie, or just I'm hoping are going to run that power play against the Devils and put up 2 or 3 points and just have a big night for you, and then you're going to get the same production out of a lower expensive cost goalie than you would out of the ones you pay up for. It just makes more sense to pay up for someone you think is going to put some scoring up for you, especially when you see so many options for low scoring across the board.
True. Yeah, so Jersey has their home opener tonight. Probably looking all giddy and gibbly and gobbly and goo, and then they're playing Winnipeg tonight, coming off that huge win in Boston, so maybe a little bit of letdown for them tonight. I don't have a score update on it because I don't really care about hockey that much, but not until later anyway.
They're going to run into a train in Washington tomorrow. They'll take the train down, and they're going to get hit with the OV train. It's all over for them.
I'm more interested tonight in a Marshall and Southern Mississippi college football game. This is how sad my life is right now.
Yeah.
But hey, listen, I got funds on the docket here, so I'm just inside the money right now. I got 2 highly owned guys, and I got a guy going in Virginia Tech as well. So college football, it's an early slate.
That's your thing, man. I got it.
It's the Thursday-Friday slate. Not many big names on the board. All right, so now that, we kind of covered the stacks and the goalies, let's just talk about some random folks out there that we could be seeing some big numbers from.
I like a couple guys that, and this is more of a season-long thing, guys I'm going to be targeting. We already talked about Joe Pavelski, and I'm going to spend another 30 seconds talking about this guy because I really –
Now, is this your early season sleeper for MVP?
This is my pick for MVP, and I know it's –
I didn't mean to ruin it.
He's already played 1 game, so it's easy to say, you've seen this guy produce, you're going to tell him, you're going to jump on the bandwagon. Listen, Walshy, what did I tell you before game 1? I said you're going to want to get Pavelski and Brent Burns. These guys are just going to be unbelievable. And the thing I really like about him is even if he's not scoring goals, he shoots the puck. On FanDuel, you get 0.4 of a point just for shots on goal. So even if he's not getting on the score sheet, he's going to shoot the puck 10 to 12 times, and you're at least going to get some production out of him. And I really do love that power play. I love the way San Jose moves, and I like that they gave Pavelski the captaincy this year. That's new this year. They took it away from Jumbo Joe Thornton last year, and hockey players they're modest by nature. He's going to tell you it doesn't mean anything to you. I'm going to tell you from experience, it means a whole lot to be a captain of a team. You want to be there. Hockey players are also prideful by nature. You represent your team, represent your organization.
Yeah, it is.
A career year out of this guy. I wouldn't be surprised if he touches 90, 100 points. You heard that here first. A couple other guys that I think are going to have big years. Steven Stamkos is one. He's in a contract year this year. You're talking about him not staying in Tampa Bay after this year. I tell you one thing right now, this guy loves to win. He hates to lose. I don't think I've ever seen a player more intense than this guy. You put the puck anywhere near him, and he's getting that one-timer off on goal. They have him playing behind that triplets line, which I also love of, Pavel, Kucherov, and Tyler Johnson. But Stamkos, you could really play him with anybody, and they've also got him working that power play. He's just going to have a monster year this year as well. He wants to get paid. Isn't that what we all want? That's why we play DFS.
We all want to get paid. First of all, I want to talk about San Jose because I wanted to jump in there real quick. They looked amazing on opening night. I mean, they were so much better than LA, who was supposed to come out and have a big game, be a little pissed off about missing the playoffs. San Jose looked amazing. New coach DeBoer there, maybe got some new lifeline in there. DeBoer took the Devils to the Stanley Cup Finals, his opening season in Jersey. So I don't know. Maybe this is what they need, but everything looked crisp. The skating, the passing, the shooting. It just looked phenomenal. It looked like I was watching the Tampa Bay Lightning of the West Coast.
Don't make that comparison yet, but it's crazy. Yeah, like you said, for 10 years we've been talking about San Jose. When are they going to get there? When are they going to get there? They're always a team that seems to kind of fold in the playoffs, but there's something did look good about them. I know it's only one game in, but they had jump, man, and they were crisp passes, and they just got it work. And DeBoer did get in there. He put a new leadership group in place with Nemeth Pavelski, the captain. But don't take that lightly. You still got Thornton and Marlowe, two old dogs, and even if they're not wearing the captain's seat, there's two good leaders in the locker room right there for you. And I like their mix of old and young. Like I said, Pavelski didn't have a career year this year, and I think I don't want to go out on a limb and say that it is their year yet, because there are other teams that I like to win the whole thing over them. But I think that they look good this year, and this is going to be one of the teams that's going to be there all season long, and probably might make some noise in the playoffs as well.
Right. Yeah, and I also have to comment on my own damn team, Tampa Bay Lightning. Now, the situation with Stamkos is interesting, because now you're saying that he wants to win, he wants to stay. Well, guess what? When that huge dollar sign gets put in front of your face, things. I mean, hell, Johnny Damon went to the Yankees.
Yeah.
So it's something that you have to look at. Now, they were even talking on the pregame show last night about maybe Tampa Bay moves Steven Stamkos before the deadline so that they don't walk away from this thing without any jelly beans in their pocket. Right. As a fan, of course I want him there, but I also understand how the game is nowadays. And not just hockey, in every single sport, guys want to get paid. And Tampa Bay has one of the most talented, and not only talented teams, but one of the most young teams. They're the third youngest team in the NHL. And, them just having all that experience being in the Stanley Cup Finals last year is only going to do wonders for this team.
It's insane, and they do have a very talented young group. And I'm not saying Stamkos is going to be there next season, but I don't think he's moving out of Tampa this year. He wants to win this year. He's got a no-trade clause, so even if they try and move him, he's got to agree to it. And I think he wants to win with this group that he's got, and I would hope, just because I do like that core and I like watching good hockey, I would hope that he stays in Tampa for your sake as well. So we'll see how that plays out, but I think he's got a home there for the year, and I expect Tampa to be there at the end of the year making noise.
All right, no doubt. Yeah, I guess anything else that we need to talk about here in the NHL?
Hey, I mean, I'll be here. I'll be back and giving you I gave you my picks. If you want me to run through, I made a mock lineup for you for what I would play if I was playing one lineup for tomorrow. I made a mock lineup for you, so if you want me to run through that real quick, I can do it, and then we can get out of here if that's what you're looking to do.
Well, I had the limit up to 8:45. That was all that I had available today. But, I mean, we do have 10 minutes left. Okay. So if you feel you need to get anything off your chest, you have 10 minutes. You have 10 minutes to do so before I shut the damn computer off.
Yeah, that's okay, man. I'm gonna run. I did it just for you. I'm gonna be entering this into cash games too. So we'll see how this plays out. But obviously, I went with the Washington stack with Ovechkin, Oshie, and Carlson. I didn't take Carlson in this one. I just took Ovechkin and Oshie in this one. It was kind of tough to budget for that to get all three of them and still make some good picks. So. The way you offset the high price on guys like Ovechkin and Oshie together is you got to get some of those smaller picks. So I talked about this. I like Montreal, and I like their third line. I like Thomas Fleischmann and David Desharnais because they had a great preseason. They had a great first game, even though they didn't get on the score sheet. So I'm going to back there to just kind of pick up some value here. And then I'm going to go with Joe Pavelski. And I'm also going to go with Brent Burns. I love that power play. Got to do it. And I'm going to go with another power play pick here, and it's the Florida Panthers power play.
Oh, my.
Barkov and Aaron Ekblad, and that's a center and a defenseman stack. And it's mostly because Ekblad doesn't come off the ice. He plays 30 minutes a game. He's going to play with all the lines. And Barkov plays power play, and he's playing on the top line this year with Jaromir Jagr and Jonathan Huberdeau, and I really, really do like that. And I went the other way with the goaltending choice here. I had to get some value out of this, and I took Carolina's Cam Ward against the Detroit Red Wings. But I like it. I like this pick because Detroit is playing tonight, and Detroit it's playing again tomorrow, and I think it's going to be a low-scoring game and a good chance to steal an upset win with a low percentage owned player, and that's really what you need if you're going to try and win in a GPP.
All right. So now you also, a couple different lineups, but basically the same core that you roll with. So I guess you're going to have that, the backup there, Mrazek from Detroit.
Yeah, I'll have Contrarian in a few. And that's one thing I do want to say to some people that are just getting into daily fantasy sports or anything like that, Was
that MMA?
Yeah, no, not a well, see, I would never. You're an expert. I got you, man. I think, if you're going to be working hard and creating, 1 or 5 lineups, I think you should be playing these in cash games. And, I'm going to try this strategy out. I don't have time to always put together, 50 lineups to put into a GPP or something like that. So if I got a night where I'm only playing 1 lineup or 5 lineups, I might play those same lineups over and over again in cash games, trying to pick up some volume and win some money back. I'm definitely going to try that out this year. I didn't do it much last year. I was more into the GPPs. This year, I don't have as much time. Work's getting a little hectic. So I've been doing it every single day this year so far, but we'll see how it goes. Watch for me on Saturdays. Those are going to be my big days. I'll be spending all day working on my lineups.
What are you doing nowadays?
I work in finance, actually. I work for a business bank. We're here in Mount Laurel. Yeah, we write loans to small businesses. And, I've been picking up I'm actually flying out to Minnesota for 3 days next week on a business trip.
Oh, make sure you stop by Fargo. Eh?
Yeah, maybe we can. Maybe I'll check out a Minnesota Wild game or something. Hopefully they're home while I'm out there.
Ride the roller coaster like the little bastards in the Mighty Ducks. It's funny. People say like everybody out in Minnesota is so nice, but there's like nothing to do except like go to a Twins or a Timberwolves or a Wild game or anything like that.
You know what? Did you watch any of that Wild game last night? They looked amazing as well. They come back from down 4-1. They win 5-4 before OT. Zach Parise with a hat trick in the first game of the season. Gotta like their team too.
Zach Parise isn't too much loved around these parts. I'm right in the middle of Devil and Ranger country. I got a couple Islander fans that pop in every once in a while, but it's mostly Devils out here in Jersey. So
all you heartbroken Devils fans, get over it. Move on with your lives. You guys will be
That's great. Way to call him out on opening night. There you go. You know what? I like how you got the TV there in the background. I feel like I can watch a little hockey while we're talking. And
yeah, you're watching. I'm not seeing much of it. I haven't even checked my team since we started talking, so I have no idea where I'm at in the lineups.
I know. It's just such engaging conversation, right? This is probably the only hockey I'm going to watch all weekend. I mean, it's all football from here on out. So
I think I'm done with football for the year. I think it's only hockey here on out.
Well, you hooked me up with NHL the other night. I can hook you up with some football. I got a dazzler of a college football lineup for tomorrow if anyone's interested. So
I'm absolutely interested.
You hit me up there, 14a.walsh on Twitter. JSpo, where can the people find you?
You don't
have to give them your home address, right?
Yeah, find me on Twitter at JSpo. That's JAYSPO. I'm gonna start using that Twitter machine a little more these days. We'll see. Maybe I'll tweet out some pics and get going. I definitely want to update on my nights. I had a good opening night, and I want to throw some updates out there and let the people know how I'm doing, so they know I'm not just some fraud coming in here, just giving you my picks and saying, look at me, follow me. You guys know what I'm doing.
All right, very nice, very nice. Well, how has it been going?
I had a great opening night. I was in for 400. I went crazy on opening night. I had a lot of teams and I played a lot of different leagues. I waited all summer for this, but I came out with 1,600 in winnings, so I netted myself 1,200. And then Thursday night, I lost 100. I was in for 300. I had a bunch of teams, and and this is what I tell people. If I could just say a minute about this most recent night, I don't get discouraged by losing that $100 because I think I made the right picks. I went heavy on Buffalo against Ottawa. I love Buffalo's team. I think they've got a great top 6. I'm going to try and ride that roller coaster. I'm going to get that Eichel and Kane set up. They're going to have a big night soon. And I think I made the right decision on this because I do think they were the better team. And, Kane had a goal called back on a coach's challenge, and their power play quarterback, Ristolainen, hit the inside of the post, and it stayed out, late in the third. So they end up losing that game 3-1, and it was an empty netter that capped it. Their starting goalie went down halfway through the second period. So I lost, 20% of my lineups right there taking that goalie. But I still think I made the right choices. That coach's challenge doesn't go that way. If that puck goes in from off Ristolainen's stick, it's a completely different night for me. And those are things that you don't see on the score sheet. You don't see those in the box score. Those are things you only get from watching the game. So watching the game is your biggest asset. I'm going to be all over Buffalo this year because I'm going to be the one that nabs them on their breakout game, and I'm going to be the one profiting off it.
Very nice. Very nice. No, though you were saying if that challenge didn't, well, if this were 1978, then you would have been okay.
Right. Yeah, that was they called it offsides. He was offsides by a hair. Kane already had a helper on Eichel's goal. So if Kane pots that one and then Risto scores on his, that's 2 guys that I targeted that I'm having a big night now. That's like a 15-point change, because you got goals by them and assists from the other, and the plus minus obviously that's a big change. That's and especially when you're talking about a good amount of a good percentage of your lineups targeted around those guys. That makes a big change because you'd see a lot of lineups shooting up the thing, and they're low percentage plays that that really can make a big night for you.
I got you. Well, thank you for coming on. Very knowledgeable about the game of hockey, so that's always much appreciated around here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. We will definitely do this again. We just got to find time to fill in when we're going to do the NHL shows. The next show for the Big Three coming up Sunday morning, as always, right before the NFL slates. Get it kicked off there. The NFL Extravaganza. One of my favorite shows of the week. I mean, we do the show on Wednesday, but, a lot more information comes out from Wednesday to Sunday. We just get that up there Wednesday and get a couple hits,
Absolutely, absolutely.
On the internet. I don't do that anymore. All right. So for me, Jay Spo, we are gone. We'll be back. We'll keep you updated on Twitter when another NHL show will be broadcasted, but it won't be too long.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Thanks again for having me.
All right, you got it, man. See you later. Peace.
See you later.